Hello family, this is Aurelie here. I'm excited to bring a very potent transmission from my guides today around false light. This has been a very potent lesson for me in the past year of my life, but really since the beginning of 2025, and I know it's going to be a really big piece of the initiations and transmissions that I bring through for my mentorship clients and students from here on out, especially because in my work I attract so many feelers and healers and empaths and light carriers, and it's vitally important that we know and we realize how to discern false light codes and how to bring our sovereignty back over our own light, but also discernment, so that really that our light is no longer being harvested by sources that are not well-intentioned, whether that be conscious or unconscious. So I was just sitting by the river this morning and having some beautiful tea, and this huge download around false light came through that feels really important to share with you all. So if this piques your interest, I invite you to just take a breath with me, sink into your back body, root down through your sitting bones, and know that sometimes the themes around false light, which are also it's gonna tie into some themes around energy harvesting and parasitic influences, whether that be literal physical parasites or mold that you struggle with, or more energetic patterns of energy vampires or people that you feel like are feeding off of your energy, narcissistic relationship patterns. These can bring up activation and fear in the system. But really, one core teaching and one core lesson we're gonna come back to again and again that my guides are sharing with me is there is truly nothing real of substance to fear about any of this. And in fact, it is through having this awareness and knowledge that you will find deeper liberation and love and strength and freedom around these false light codes. So let's just dive in together. I'm going to share some pieces. I invite you to really stay with your body and stay with your embodied sense of truth. I'll share information here that may or may not resonate or land as true for you. I always invite you, especially when we're talking about these themes of sovereignties, like use your own filters, use your own discernment, take what feels true and lands and is resonant for you, leave the rest. But I do believe that many of you are going to get a lot out of this transmission here today. So first and foremost, what are false light codes? What can source tell us around what false light is? False light is going to be a veiling where what is being presented and what is being seen is not always actually what the core substance beneath that presentation is. We can call this spiritual masking. It's going to be really connected to spiritual bypassing. We see this in people in our lives, but we can also actually experience this as you open your channel through beings and guides that may come forth and come through that present in a certain way, but actually don't have the intention of sovereignty, of the highest good, of love and light. But there's like this underlying control and manipulation that, especially until your discernment and your inner, really your inner sword of truth comes into play more firmly, you can be drawn into, sucked into, and more easily manipulated by these beings. So what is happening with these false light codes, and this can be unconsciously playing out for people in our lives, or unfortunately there can also be conscious carriers of false light. Again, I'm just going to repeat, there's nothing, once we know the truth of this, there's nothing to be afraid of with any of this. There's so much power and sovereignty that can be really gained back. But these false light codes can be a conscious manipulation, or from I believe most of these false light codes, it's this unconscious playing out of manipulation patterns. that comes from a fracturing of self, comes from traumatic experience, a separation from truth, which is love, true God, source, creatorship. Now, this fracturing happens, and it's almost like this veil of love and light is placed around a person that has them appearing one certain way, but then if you actually feel deeper into your own body and your own experience, and this might not be immediate, this might be over time, it feels like something is incongruent, something's not matching what you're seeing and what you're feeling. It's not what it appears. And if you just follow what you hear and what you see on the surface, and you gaslight yourself, you gaslight your own inner knowing that like something just doesn't feel right, that's when these deeper experiences of deception and energy harvesting actually can happen. So one key code here is to actually believe your soma, believe what you feel in your body around people. If there's any semblance of fear or control or being used, then we know something is not actually, something's not landing all the way through in congruence. And that's not saying that we have to label that person as false light or narcissist or use any labels, but it's just really like that's one of the first gateways is self-trust. And can I just trust what I'm feeling and experiencing inside of my own self and honor that, even if like the why doesn't fully make sense to you yet. Now with these false light carriers, one question I was getting curious about and asking my guides, like, is this an intentional act? Is this something that is intentional? Is this just coming from wounding? And what my guides have told me is sometimes it is intentional, sometimes it's not, but whether it's intentional or not, it's all sourced from the same level of misunderstanding of who and what we really are at our core, which is love and beauty and truth and power. It all emerges from really a fear-based and scarcity-based consciousness. And fear is part of the tactic that is used to continue that veiling and that masking of the false light as power over, really. So there are so many different degrees and levels that these false light codes play out, and especially if you live in a very spiritual-based community, this can be a really like a hard lesson in a hard time period, because it can really feel like, oh my God, nothing is what it appears to be. Like, I thought this person or this place or this guide really had my highest good, but now I'm realizing there's actually something deeper happening here that's not fully in support of really, we're going to come back to the word power and sovereignty, because you and your sovereignty is that's the remedy to harmonizing any distortions that are happening around these false light codes. So let's talk about how we can see false light. How do we notice? How do we know when it's happening? Especially if it's like what meets the eye and is just the masking. Here you see on the surface something looks a certain way, but then when you connect deeper down, there's a sense of like, I'm not sure this is actually fully integrating. And that's really going to be one of the core pieces, again, is really trusting your own guts around what you are experiencing. But also letting yourself really see all of somebody, which is going to include their shadow. Now, I know for me and for many of the women that I work with, there can be a tendency to really see the best in others, to see their potential, to see their highest good, to see the light within them. And this is so beautiful and it's such a gift, but it can also be a kind of a perpetrator of these false light codes. So when you're seeing and experiencing and witnessing somebody, see if you can hold them in their totality, light and shadow. And if the shadow is actually really hard for you to see, that's going to be a sign that there's something being veiled. Because when we're in an authentic, true light expression, it includes all aspects of ourselves. It includes the shadow. It includes the parts of us that carry wounding. And with authentic light, as opposed to this veiling and wrapping of light around distortion, when there's authentic light codes, it's more like that light gets to weave through and penetrate and touch the shadowy places inside. It doesn't mean that they necessarily dissolve or go away, but there's more of a sense of integration of touching one another. So if you can't see the shadow, then there's something there's a masking happening. There's something hiding it. It's just like an important piece to know. And it might feel like a little bit of mind play, because it's like, oh, if I can't see the shadow, then this person is all love and light. But we all carry shadow. And if it's really hard to see, feel, and experience that, oftentimes there is going to be some sort of masking at play. So when you can see and feel and experience an integrated shadow in somebody, and talk about shadow work, so vitally important, you can actually trust that that person is integrating more of their light codes. Not all of the time, not 100%, but that is going to be one sign that it's more integrated. Another piece you can think about is, does this presentation of who this person is in my body, does it feel like masking, performative, superficial, or do I feel the light codes going all the way down and through, like all the way into the root system, into the earth? There's so much more I could say about this, but really one important piece is like not to get too in your head about these codes, because really your body is going to tell you. Your body is going to reveal all, and it's going to be revealed over time, even if it doesn't come up to the surface immediately, especially at this potent time on our planet. They're really, as we become more and more psychic, more and more interconnected, more and more telepathic with one another, there's not going to be the same level of capacity to hide these sort of things or to hide the false light patterns anymore. As you wake up, you're going to see through these patterns. You might not be quite there yet, but just trust it will reveal itself. You don't need to walk around the world in fear of these patterns. Like, this is a big part of what's being purged from the collective consciousness right now. And so if you're noticing and seeing and feeling more of this than you have in the past, actually it's something to really, really celebrate. Okay, another question I was curious about, and I asked my guides, is there any real light within these false light codes? And here's where I feel like this conversation with my guides got really, really interesting. The light and the source that these false light carriers are touching, it is real. It's just not integrated. It's not penetrated in through the full energy matrix, and it's not fully surrendered to. It's manipulating using these light codes. It kind of taints that light in a way. Tainted by really the intention, and the intention is fear tactics, manipulation, control, fear that like I don't have light within myself, so I need to take it from somebody else to sustain and to source me. The truth and the reality is we all have our own inner light, and it's the awakening of that inner flame, of that inner light, that dissolves first and foremost any false light that we might be carrying, because sometimes we unconsciously do these behaviors of masking, of carrying, of taking, of manipulation. And the more that we can honor and see and feel and experience that within ourselves, the more we integrate our light body into our humanity. But also, when we learn and when we realize the power of our own inner authentic light codes, there's no need anymore to reach and try to source anything from outside of us. So the more that we can awaken to our own inner light, the more these codes dissolve, like any way that we're playing this out in ourselves, but also any way that that's playing out relationally between us and others. So the light is real, but it gets distorted through the intention. So it really comes back to a sense of intentionality and power and sovereignty from within. So it's like the light becomes this pretend mask of what these beings wish that they were, that they actually are already, but instead of sourcing that from within, they take the energy from elsewhere to hide from their work instead of doing the inner work. It's outsourcing light instead of sourcing it from within. So, I mean, there's so much more that I could share on this. There's like pages more that I've connected with my guides about, but I don't want to make this video too long for you all. So I'm gonna finish off by just sharing a really important message around working with these, working with reclaiming your energy from any ways that it's been drained from you. One, any ways that you've been outsourcing your own light and trying to, mask or create a facade around you, which we all do to some degree, right? This is a spectrum. But also any ways that your energy, especially for those of you who carry a lot of deep light codes, which is going to be probably most all of the people, if not all of the people watching this video, like you're already in touch with and in connection with a deep well of inner light, of luminosity, of magnetism, how you can really hold all of your light in and for yourself, because your light is for you. It's not for anybody else. And the biggest piece is really claiming ownership, sovereignty over your own energy. And so there's a sovereignty prayer that you can speak aloud. I do this prayer every single day that helps you reclaim your power and your authority over your own light codes. So if you wish, you can say this aloud with me. I, Aurelie Rose, and you can say your name, invoke, declare, dream awake, decree, and commands my immediate, continual, omniversal, and complete sovereignty, logistically, energetically, physically, sexually, creatively, vocationally, any areas of your life that you're really wanting to claim your sovereignty back. Through this time-space reality and all time-space realities, through all of my lifetimes, through my entire ancestral lineage, backwards and forwards, for the immediate highest and best good of all. I claim all of my light. I feel my light and my power returning to me now. I feel my light and my power returning to me now. I feel my light and my power returning to me now. And really take a moment to feel and sense that coming back through. And if you are actively feeling like there is a form of energy draining happening, you can simply say, I do not consent. I do not consent to any parasitic attachments, any entities, any energies, persons feeding off of my energy. I do not consent. And I claim my energy back for myself. And really see and feel that. Okay, one more piece here. I'm just going to mention this really briefly because it feels important, especially for those of you awakening your psychic gifts, because I mentioned a little bit that this can also happen in the psychic realm. And I mean, there's so much to share and to talk about with this, but one piece I really want to share with you for those of you awakening your psychic gifts, if this brings into question of like, oh no, like, are the guides I'm connecting with actually, do they actually like have my best intention? Am I being kind of effed with in a way? You can create a key code with your guides, with your light team. And so with my guides, whenever I'm opening my channel, I ask for the password. I have a secret password, a word and an image that my guides have to show me before I accept the channeled information that comes through. And if they don't know the password, then I know that they actually are not from my my light team. So I just share this with you too, that you can have this conversation with your guides. No one else is going to know this password other than you and highest source beings. Because truly, 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 none of these beings, these false light carriers, can actually touch you when you are in your own sovereignty, when you are in your own authority. And that's really what like all of this is all about. So, oh my goodness, I mean, I could go on and on and on and on and on about this. I hope that you found it useful, beneficial, supportive. If so, please respond. I would love to hear from you. Know that this is a big piece of the initiation we can work with together in mentorship containers. So if this piques your interest, know that there's space for us to walk together, for us to weave together, for us to bring more of our own inner sovereignty and inner light on, because the world really needs us doing this work right now. It's vitally, 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 vitally important for us and for all of humanity to be carrying our own light codes, to be in love, and to see through false patterns. Whew. Yeah. Okay. Much love, so much love for you. And thank you for watching this video. We'll see you soon.